Welcome to Loch Lomond Recreation Area and Reservoir. My name is Judy Cole. I'm a ranger here at this beautiful park and reservoir, owned and operated by the City of Santa Cruz Water Department. As part of our ongoing educational opportunities, we are taking you along today on our first virtual Loch Lomond Secchi Dip-In. Due to COVID-19 safety protocols, we are unable to have the public join us this year, so we invite you along for the first virtual Secchi Dip-In. Welcome aboard. As we proceed on this virtual tour of the reservoir and take part in the annual Secchi Dip-In, you will learn interesting historical and environmental information from the city's watershed manager, Chris Berry. Joining me today on the Newell Jewel is Marina Sidoric, an environmental projects analyst from the city's water resource management team, who will walk you through the steps of taking an accurate Secchi reading and explain the ever-changing factors affecting these readings. You will learn about the equipment used by the Water Quality Lab, as well as behind-the-scenes water quality procedures from Dan Coker and Tram Nguyen, both experienced environmental microbiologists from the city's Water Quality Lab. We hope that you will enjoy the tour and Secchi Dip-In, while also learning more about what the different sections of the City of Santa Cruz Water Department are doing to protect this water resource and maintain clean, safe drinking water for its customers.
Hi, I'm Chris Berry, Watershed Compliance Manager for the City of Santa Cruz Water Department. My team includes water resources management and recreation staff that comprise the watershed section of the Water Department. Broadly speaking, we focus on two main things in our work: drinking water source protection and environmental regulatory compliance. Part of this work is management of the city's nearly 4,000 acres of watershed property, including the nearly 3,000 acres of property surrounding Loch Lomond. This entails fuel management, access control, monitoring, patrol, and related work. We also provide support for watershed protection work of other agencies working in the greater San Lorenzo and North Coast watersheds that provide water to the City of Santa Cruz. This work is of fundamental importance to the City of Santa Cruz, as watershed protection is the first component of a multi-barrier approach to drinking water source protection. Loch Lomond features prominently in this work quite simply because it is the city's only source of stored water, and impacts to the watershed that drain to the reservoir can have a big impact on this important water source. Furthermore, Loch Lomond provides the city with drinking water in the summer and fall, when the city is providing in-stream flows to special status species like coho salmon and steelhead in other streams, so it is of great importance in that regard as well. While our watershed team does lots of things ranging from monitoring steelhead and coho in Santa Cruz County streams to operating the recreation area here at Loch Lomond, education and interpretive work is a big part of our scope as well. We work with everyone from elementary school students to adults in a variety of programs such as our 5th grade watershed field trips, free public Newell Jewel boat tours, and our interpretive loch walks at Loch Lomond. Our programs have been supported by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency and California Department of Fish and Wildlife grants in the past, and are now funded entirely by the Santa Cruz Water Department ratepayers. One of our favorite educational events is the annual Secchi Dip-In. The Secchi disc, the black and white plate at the bottom of many a limnologist's rope, was invented by Pietro Angelo Secchi, an Italian Jesuit priest, in 1865. In fact, the story goes, he first deployed the instrument into the waters of the Mediterranean, dropping the disc in over the side of the papal yacht. Secchi measurements, while perhaps seemingly simplistic, are an invaluable water quality monitoring technique in that they are very repeatable and inexpensive. The first Secchi Dip-In began as a pilot study in 1994, conducted by Dr. Robert Carlson and others at Kent State University. The results from the first dip-in suggested that regional patterns in transparency did exist, appearing to correlate with land use. In 1995, the dip-in expanded to include volunteers across the entire United States. Thanks to the support of volunteer programs and volunteers, the North American Lake Management Society, and the Environmental Protection Agency, the dip-in database has grown to more than 41,000 records on more than 7,000 separate water bodies, not including different sites such as along rivers and estuaries. Now I'd like to turn things over to Marina, who will tell us more about the science behind all of this and what we'll be doing here today to participate in the Secchi Dip-In.
Hi, My name is Marina, and I'm a Water Resources Analyst with the City of Santa Cruz Water Department. Today I'm out on the Newell Jewel pontoon boat here in Loch Lomond Reservoir, and I'm going to take us through our Secchi dip-in measurement today. First, let's take a look at the tools that we're going to use today. Since we're working around water, we're always wearing our personal flotation device. Then we have our data sheet that we're going to write down all of our measurements on, and we also have our Secchi disc, which has two parts. We have the disc, which has this alternating white and black pattern, which helps us see it when it's in the water. And it's attached to this rope, which is marked with tape at every half meter or 1 foot. And that's what we use when we're done to measure how deep the disc was in the water. So that's it. Despite its simplicity, a Secchi disc can tell you a lot about the conditions in the water. Before we get started with our measurements, it's important that we fill out our data sheet. What's really cool about the Secchi dip-in event is there are people all across the country using the exact same data sheet as us in their local water bodies. So what we're going to do first is fill out our date, the location, our specific site, the time of our measurement, and the weather. All of these things are really important to note so that we can keep track of what factors could affect our measurement in the water. Recording our site information is really important because different sites naturally have different conditions that can result in a different measurement, even at the same time of day. So we want to make sure that we write down our exact site number so that we can compare data over time. Weather can also have a big impact on our measurements. So two examples that are common here in Santa Cruz is the fog and the wind that we get. So if I was out here early in the morning and trying to take a measurement when it's foggy, the light would be dimmer. 1 hour later, in the exact same location, it might be really sunny, and the difference in fog and sun could drastically change how easy it is for me to see down into the water and get that Secchi measurement. Same thing with wind. That can cause a lot of waves and ripples on the top of the water, making it harder for me to see down and see that black and white pattern on the Secchi disc. So that's why it's important to make sure we note the weather conditions before we get started. So we're going to demonstrate how to do a Secchi dip in the cove here today because it's a better place to demonstrate this on video. Out at Site 4, which is in the middle of the lake, it's too windy and you can't hear us. Great, so now we're ready to take our measurements. So the first things we do when we get started is make sure you have stable footing. Remove any sunglasses you might be wearing because that can affect your ability to see the Secchi disc in the water. And if you can, try to have the sun at your back to also minimize reflection in the water. So what we're going to do is I'm going to slowly lower the disc into the water, paying close attention to this pattern. Once that pattern disappears and I can no longer see it, I'm going to stop. That's called the disappear depth. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my clips here, I'm going to reach down and clip where the water level is on the rope. Then I'm going to slowly bring up the disc until that pattern reappears and I can see it again. That's called the reappear depth. And I'm again going to take a clip and put that at the surface of the water on the rope. Then we're done. We're going to pull it back up, find the average between those 2 points, and that's our Secchi dip measurement today. So here we go. Okay, there we go. It disappeared. So again, I'm going to take one of my clips and put it on the rope. Now I'm going to raise it back up until I see that pattern again. All right, here we go. So now we'll come back and we'll measure the length from the Secchi disc to this point, find the average, and that will be our Secchi dip-in measurement for today. So we measured our rope and found out our final measurement was 11 feet. So that means we could see the Secchi disc 11 feet down into the water today. So I'm going to take our completed and filled out data sheet and I'm going to enter that into the North American Lake Management Society's online database for the Secchi dip-in event. You could go online and see the results from events that were happening at sites all across the country in July. The Santa Cruz Water Department has been participating in the Secchi dip-in event for many years, and our results show our Secchi dip-in measurements change over time. So here's a graph of our past years of measurements and also a graph showing a single year, and you can see there's a lot of variation. Sometimes the water clarity is really low, meaning that you can't see very far into the water. Other times, the water clarity is really high and we can see very far down into the water. And so that variation is due to a lot of factors, including things like suspended solids, the presence of living organisms, and dissolved organic substances. You'll hear more about the specifics of water quality in the lake from one of our water quality lab staff members.
This is Dan Coker, City of Santa Cruz Water Quality Lab microbiologist. Water quality staff monitors Loch Lomond to know when to mitigate the effects of algal blooms and also to ensure water stored in the reservoir is of high quality. Many types of algae, including the majority of species found at Loch Lomond, are neither harmful to water quality nor pose a threat of toxin production. In fact, as primary producers, algae are an integral part of any lake's food chain. However, some species belonging to a phylum of algae called cyanobacteria or blue-green algae have the potential for rapid population growth, or blooming. Cyanobacteria utilize competitive advantages, like their ability to create their own nitrogen or move vertically through the water column, as seen in this time-lapse video of a sample collected from Loch Lomond during a bloom, to compete for nutrients and sunlight, which allows them to outnumber and overwhelm other species of algae. If unchecked, blooms of these algae can create water quality concerns regarding taste and odor, form disinfection byproducts, a carcinogen, and produce algal toxins. Additionally, once the bloom dies and decomposes, it can deplete dissolved oxygen in the reservoir, which can result in the death of aquatic species. The water quality team monitors Loch Lomond year-round, with additional monitoring during warmer months when algae blooms are most likely. On a weekly basis, water quality staff makes field observations, collects field data, and analyzes samples collected at multiple depths from designated sample sites. In the field, staff documents the visual presence of algae, weather conditions, and wind and current direction. A Secchi disc is deployed to check water clarity. A digital meter is used to measure temperature and dissolved oxygen at different depths, and a Van Dorn vertical sampler is used to collect samples. The Secchi disc is an affordable, easy-to-use method which is very simple, however, provides a lot of information about week-to-week changes in the lake without requiring sample analysis. The Van Dorn sampler allows field staff to lower an open canister and obtain a sample at a desired depth by triggering a mechanism from the surface that closes the canister. Once the Van Dorn sampler is pulled back to the surface, sample bottles are filled using a built-in valve. Samples are then brought back to the water quality lab to be analyzed.
Hello, my name is Tram Nguyen, and I'm an environmental microbiologist too at the City of Santa Cruz's Water Quality Laboratory. Analyzing wet bench chemistry, parameters such as pH, conductivity, turbidity, color, and odor, nutrients such as nitrate and phosphate, total organic carbon, chlorophyll A, and identifying and enumerating algae in the laboratory allows staff to detect changes in water quality and take action when warranted. Indicators of oxygen, decreased Secchi depths, increased odor, high pH, high algae counts, and high concentrations of chlorophyll A can be attributed to algal blooms. If lab staff determines that treating a bloom is necessary, careful consideration is taken to apply chemical products at the proper dosage and in areas of the reservoir where algae is most concentrated. Currently, the City of Santa Cruz uses two types of chemical products to treat Loch Lomond: a copper sulfate product and a peroxide product. Though treatment is effective, it is applied sparingly, and extra monitoring of the reservoir is required post-treatment to ensure the chemicals used do not harm aquatic life or affect water quality, as one of the many duties of lab staff is to help maintain the reservoir for water quality purposes, recreational enjoyment, and to protect the public and wildlife.
Thank you for joining us on this first virtual Loch Lomond Reservoir Secchi Dip-In. We hope that you have learned valuable information about the Secchi Dip-In event and how this simple instrument, as well as other testing by the lab, assists the water department in maintaining excellent water quality for our customers. There is a broad range of work being accomplished through many different projects and day-to-day achievements by City of Santa Cruz Water Department staff. Over 100 employees work together in several sections of the department to protect this and other city water resources and to provide clean, safe drinking water to Santa Cruz customers. We all wish you a wonderful day and happy Lakes Appreciation Month.